On this hot sheet, I'm talking about a Wall Street Journal article just released today talking about home prices and where they're heading. And I'm taking your live questions. It's free format Friday. The number is 203 548 0417. Get the phone lines filled up. Can't wait to chat. Today is Friday, September 8th, 2023. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. Welcome to the hot sheet. Let me know in the live chat which market you're tuning in from. I'm tuning in live today from Austin, Texas, here in my little hotel room. We don't have a suite this time, Bobby. What happened? But we're committed to delivering this show every single day that the markets are open. I think we crossed 150 hot sheets already this year since we started it in week 2 of January. It's the only live daily housing show that exists on the internet. That's because at BAM, we actually care. We don't just pontificate like many others. So hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the live chat where you're tuning in from. This is free format Friday. We're going to take your live calls. We're going to go through some of the questions throughout the week as well. 203 548 0417. 203 548 0417 is the number. Before we jump into that, I want to share a Wall Street Journal article that was just released today, and this has some indications of what could be coming here in the future. A fall in home prices may already be over. Now, we saw that the CEO of Altos Research earlier this week on a previous stream indicated that he believes maybe not. Okay, maybe not. He believes that fourth quarter, which is something that I tend to believe, will see a seasonality decline. When I look out 12 months, I believe we won't have a drop in prices. So, along with Zillow, go ahead and take the call, Bobby. Along with Zillow saying 6% plus in the next 10 months home price increase, I imagine that's going to be the case for a year. But when we look at the next 4 to 6 months, and then I'll get into this Wall Street Journal article here in just a second. We have a caller name and where you're calling from.
Todd Porter, also known as Utah Todd, calling from Salt Lake, Utah.
Utah Todd, is that your handle on Instagram?
It is.
All right, at Utah Todd, go give him a follow. What's on your mind, brother?
Hey, just the market is really, it's quite fascinating actually that like here in Utah, across the Wasatch Front, the property values are slightly dropping, but the inventory is so low and the demand is exceeding inventory. So the drop in pricing, I'll be honest with you, it makes no sense other than, from my standpoint of view, agents, especially newbie agents who haven't been around long enough, that are used to being able to put a property under contract in a week. I really feel like they're just dropping the price to get the property sold and not realizing we're approaching a normal market where you got, 30, 60, 90 days worth of inventory eventually, that it's going to take 30, 60, 90 days to be able to get a property sold. And they're used to doing it in a week. And so they're dropping the price and way too early. It's like, why are you dropping the price?
I think there's a couple things going on here, Utah Todd. I love the way you frame that up. Number one, we can't ignore the fact that we are facing, when we look at, the consumer as a whole, we're facing a affordability issue across the board. And it's actually, now that we're back up over 7% interest rates, it's actually worse than we were in 2006. So we have a real affordability issue. So despite inventory being so low, the pool of consumers that can actually go out and do this while property taxes and insurance continues to go up, the pool of consumers will naturally shrink. And that's where we saw this week that mortgage demand hit its lowest mark since December of 1996. That is a reality. On the other side, what you're talking about, where agents are like freaking out about 2 weeks being on the market, that's an issue that consumers need to really do their due diligence on who they're hiring as a listing agent. When you have somebody, Utah Todd, when did you come into the market? When did you start your career?
1985.
Here you go. So this is a player right here, Utah Todd, that has seen multiple markets, different swings. When I tell agents that in 2012 in the Northeast, you would be on the market 2 months and have one showing. And if they're new to the industry in the last couple of years, they're like, that's not even possible. How is that possible? We'd be doing broker opens all the time, and you know this. You've seen this in multiple different market swings, where we'd be doing brokers open just to get a sheet filled out to give feedback to the seller because there was no other activity. Markets do change, inventory changes, and what you're talking about getting back to a normal market, we're still in a seller's market. In almost every market in America, we're under 6 months of inventory, 30 days, 60 days. Remember, the rule of thumb used to be, hey, you don't even talk about price until you've been on the market 60 days and collected enough data. What's been your rule of thumb before you talk price with a seller of having that property be on the market and collect enough data?
Well, it's exactly what you just said. Really, my rule of thumb has been career-wise. My rule of thumb has been at least 30 days, preferably 60 days before you even start talking about price. But there's another factor here. My daughter, as an example, we just closed. She just bought a home yesterday. We just closed on it yesterday. And the reason why is this. And she came to me, she said, Dad, with interest rates being so high, I'm really nervous. And she's a single gal, and she bought a 5-bedroom home that she's looking to rent out the bedrooms and do some house hacking. But here's the thing that I explained to her. They said, look, now is the time to buy because you're not in a multiple offer situation. Your rate, when the rate changes and the rate comes down and the multiple offer situations occur again, and when they are again paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 above list, you're already going to have your property and you're just going to sit back and refinance your mortgage. And I said, this is a no-brainer time to buy. If you can buy, if you can qualify, if you can buy, you are crazy to not be buying right now. Lock in that price, adjust the interest rate as interest rates come down, refinance into the lower rate. I'm buying. My family's buying. Now is the time to be picking up properties. Big time.
I couldn't agree. I think from now through the winter, and we always see this a seasonality decline in prices. So we might just be getting ahead of that a little bit as well, where you're talking, hey, I'm seeing prices come down. I don't understand why. Well, there's a seasonality element to this that we naturally have less buyers. It's not that just the buyer pool is shrinking because of affordability and rates. It's also time of year that plays into that. And yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's the advice we were given here on the hot sheet, a month ago. It's like, hey, as interest rates hit 7.5%, are you going to have less competition right now if you're a buyer in position that can afford to go out and still buy? Are you going to have less competition now or more? You're certainly going to have less. I want to be in a less competitive environment because that's when I can get the best deals. That's when I can get the deal on my terms. So what Utah Todd just said is something that everybody listening here who's a real estate advisor, an agent, or a broker should be having conversations with those buyers. In February, March, and April, it will be harder to obtain the property of choice than it is right now. So I completely agree with that sentiment. Utah Todd, go follow him on Instagram. Thanks for the call, brother.
Hey, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
And so Wall Street Journal agrees with what Utah Todd is saying. Hey, the fall in home prices might be over. So that would mean right now is the time to buy. Nicole Friedman this morning posted home prices aren't falling anymore after declining on a year-over-year basis for 5 consecutive months, the longest run of decline in 11 years. U.S. home prices rose in July. The surprisingly quick recovery suggests that the residential real estate downturn is turning out to be shorter and shallower than many housing economists expected after mortgage rates soared last year. Scarcity is the big reason. This is what Todd's talking about. Hey, there's such low inventory. Don't understand why we're seeing some signs here in the last couple of weeks. What Nicole's looking at Wall Street Journal is July. What a a broker like Utah Todd is saying is, hey, I'm feeling the market every day. I'm feeling it every single week. And I'm seeing in the last couple weeks, this is what the CEO of Altos Research was also referring to, that, okay, we might have this seasonality dip in prices. If I'm a buyer, I want to be on the front end of that. Of course, I want to lead the changes so that I can get the best deal. High interest rates have prompted homeowners to stay put. Obviously, we know that. Many potential home buyers have given up their search. That line right there, many potential home buyers have given up their search because mortgage rates recently hit a 2-decade high. Those are the buyers that we've got to reach deep into our database and go and have a conversation with and educate them on the opportunity that Utah Todd on his call was talking about. This is advice an agent, I think he said 1985 for Utah Todd, that has seen market changes, shifts, dynamics for decades. And he's giving this advice to his daughter, to Blood. And he's saying, go buy that house right now. If he believes it that strongly for himself, for his family, you know that he's delivering that type of advice to his clients. And they're not going to know unless you reach out and let them know, hey, here's what the Wall Street Journal is saying. Here's what Zillow's saying, that over the next 10 months, prices are actually going to go up over 6%. They're dealing with quite a bit of data. It's probably likely, it's about a 70+% chance that the consumer you're going to be talking to is going to be using Zillow as their main search portal. Okay. And Zillow believes that over the next 10 months, prices are going to go up over 6%. And right now we have this is what's happened seasonally in our market. You can show them the chart in your market off of your MLS. Most MLSs now have these charts where it'll show you the last 20 years, that dip in prices in the fourth quarter going into quarter one before they ratchet back up in the spring. Here's the opportunity to be ultra aggressive as a buyer. Yeah, I couldn't believe that more. We have a couple questions from this week, right, Bobby? I'll bring those up and address those. One of them might have been along the same theme here. Let me first go to Jennifer and Michelle, MKE Real Estate. Interesting that demand is low and inventory is starting to go up just when all predicted prices will go up. So she's referring to that Zillow price going up. We know that demand has gone down to a December 1996 low, according to Mortgage Banker Association this week. But that, as we talked about on Tuesday of this week, new listings are up. Inventory is up. New listings, actually, the chart in front of you here, which is available in the daily download section on BAMX. You could become a member of BAMX by using code HOT to get 10% off of your subscription. Join the community at BAMX. But this is available in Tuesday's download. New listings coming onto the market, according to Realtor.com. When we look at this time frame, when we look at August 2017 through 2022, every year is declining at this moment. 2023 is going up. Now, let's take these numbers into context. We're at an all-time relatively low time frame here. So for the comment from MKE Real Estate, Jennifer and Michelle, when they're saying that, hey, inventory is up, it's a welcome sign for us. We need to, create a more affordable environment. One of the ways we do that is pushing inventory up. We're coming off of the bottom, right? Essentially, well, active inventories bottom was last year. New listings bottom is this year. So in the last 2 years, we've set all-time lows in both of those different categories. So we're coming off a really low mark. And so it is interesting that inventory is going to potentially go up, because where is it going to come from? I think one of the precursors, and go to that second comment from Savone Brunetto, Bobby. I've been hearing across a variety of platforms that we're currently in a silent depression, which with a lot of aspects makes sense. So one of the theories, not mine, but one of the theories that could be pushing some of the inventory up at a time of year historically when inventory will recede is that, okay, maybe there is this brewing recession that we're not really, we keep talking about the soft landing, and there was some, comments, even this morning in New York, in Bloomberg, the Fed, Williams says policy is in a good place. As the New York chief says monetary policy is in a restrictive stance. We're in a good place. Maybe that means that we're not going to have, this recession. Maybe they believe more about this soft landing. But then there's another camp that says, okay, well, no, the softening of the job markets is a leading indicator that we might have a recession on our hands, that the credit card debt that you're seeing increase is an indication that the consumer's not as strong as some of the other GDP and some of the other numbers state that it is, and that something could blow up, right? We talked about yesterday with the regional banks having, a commercial, whether it's, hey, they've got 32% of the commercial issue or 70% or somewhere in between, they might be holding the bag on commercial, and that could have a ripple effect on the economy. The fact that ZipRecruiter, a lot of these major agencies that put job postings up are reducing staff right now could be an indication that the economy overall is softening. Uh, if you look at inflation, and that's the biggest fight, and once we get inflation down to this 2%, and the Fed said, the New York Fed here says needs to ensure inflation gets down to 2% sustainably, right? That's their case. That's what they're going for. I believe we're at 2.6 because I believe owner's equivalent rent is garbage. And when you take that out, we're already at 2%, 2.6. So I believe that we should be pausing and that we're heading in the right direction. And if that is true, then a soft landing is very possible. And if a soft landing is very possible, then we're not going to have an economic meltdown. Remember, when we look at real estate as well, the homeowner, for just that case point, the homeowner, 44 out of 10 homeowners don't have a mortgage. 91% have a mortgage at under 6%. So the homeowner is very strong right now. And if they keep their job, if they stay employed, there's not going to be much of a reason for them to reduce their price, even if, like what Utah Todd was talking about earlier, they've got some inexperienced agent who's like, we've been on the market 2 weeks, let's drop a price. Wait a minute, why am I dropping? I'll just keep the house. I've got a 3.5% interest rate. I've got no mortgage. This is a great location. I'm not going to drop onto some giveaway sale. You'll have consumers push back on that. And they're not going to drop the price. All right, number here, if we can take another call before we sign off on the hot sheet, 203-548-0417. Great call by at Utah Todd on Instagram. Been in the business since 1985. Love that call, Todd. 203-548-0417. 203-548-0417. Can take it in any direction that you'd like to go, whether it's some of the stuff that's going on in the industry or certainly in housing that we've talked about this week. And speaking of somewhere that you should go, it should be to FubCon in Los Angeles if you're in the area, September 25th to the 28th. Immerse yourself in a community of high achievers, world-class trainers, top producing agents, leading industry voices. There is a code down below for BAM. Make sure it's down below, Bobby, please, so I don't come off as a liar here. There's a code to get 30% off of your FubCon ticket down below. It's got like some underscore in it. I can't even remember it.
BAM underscore VIP 30.
BAM underscore VIP 30. You get 30% off
and 55% off each additional ticket.
55% off each additional ticket. So FubCon in LA. That's from Follow Up Boss. I got to tell you, Follow Up Boss is the CRM that I personally use with the team in Connecticut. It helped us get to over 700 transactions last year and hundreds of transactions this year-to-date leader in that state. Follow Up Boss is a boss when it comes to CRMing and they've got a huge list of speakers. So make sure you get into that. 203-548-0417. If you're not going to be in LA the end of September, well, if you're maybe in South Florida or in the Florida area, September 20th, BAM Camp is happening. And we've got a few tickets left to BAM Camp. We've got 20 speakers. There will not be any panel pontifications. It's going to be straight value. BAMX members get 25% off of that ticket. Saw somebody yesterday sign up for BAMX same day, locked in their 25% off of BAM Camp. You can get 10% off of BAMX by using code HOT. Once you get that, you'll get your discount into all of our events like BAM Camp happening on September 20th. 203-548-0417. If we've got another call, I'm certainly happy to take that. I shared this chart earlier in the week, and I'll bring it back up because this is another reason I think I agree with Utah Todd, where we're not going to see some dramatic dip in prices. And if we're seeing a little bit of a seasonality one, huge opportunity for buyers to jump in, because when we go long term, buyers today are buying below tomorrow's peak. Tomorrow could come, in a year from now. Zillow believes 6% gain in the next 10 months. Americans are sitting on a tremendous amount of equity. 4 out of 10, I mentioned before, own their home free and clear. Well, 30% have over 50% equity. They're not going to fire sale their house. Mortgage homes with 30 to 50% equity, that's 20%. So when you put those two categories together, that's 90% of homeowners right now have either 10 to 30% equity, 30 to 50%. I'm sorry, 30 to 50% equity, over 50%, or no mortgage at all. We're not seeing a fire sale from 90% of homeowners. You think builders are going to fire sale? No, they're going to discount those loans that they're offering. Then the last 10%, mortgaged homes with 10 to 30% equity. That's still pretty good. That's 8.6%. Okay. You only have about 2% of mortgaged homes with 0 to 9% equity. And they're probably the ones that just bought. Okay. Mortgaged homes with negative equity, it's 0.12%. It's basically nobody. That's dramatically different than what we saw going into 2007, when you had negative equity instantly. I personally bought homes 04, 05, 06, where I instantly had negative equity. I was also using a really bad loan, right? It was in that whole entire, Big Short crisis moment. You had a lot of homeowners in that situation. And it's one of the reasons why GFC and today are substantially different. This is the type of information. And again, all of these are available for you in the daily download. This one was courtesy of KCM. Love what Keeping Current Matters is doing. But we're putting together all this, all the slides that we use throughout the week on the hot sheet, available for you in the daily download on BAMX, so that you can use the green screen. You can go and do a show in your local market, or you can just draw on it and send it over to that one buyer who's like, I'm going to take a break and wait for things to get into my favor. What Utah Todd said earlier in the show is, it's in your favor now. And this is somebody who's seen it more than most. 1985 different dynamics. He knows that, hey, when we're looking forward over the next few years, right now's the dip. Right now's the opportunity to swoop in. And if the case that the situation is, if you can afford it, right, as the buyer, we want to have context on their personal situations, because this is the reality. Yesterday, we closed out at 7.29. The 30-year fixed weekly did drop to 7.12. Okay, we're having some volatility. We're at 7.5, then we went down to 7. Now we're back down to 7.29. We're certainly experiencing volatility that's no different than what we've seen throughout the year. The opportunity for the people that are willing to go out there while competition recedes because of seasonality, because of a plus 7% interest rate, those buyers are going to be able to win the deal that they want, that they've been looking for months. That might come in the next 3 to 4 months. What's coming today on the 10-year looks like a little dip. So maybe we get a dip in the 30-year at 4.221. Interest rates higher for longer is a real thing. Bobby, did you have something before we get out of here?
Yeah, Dawn from East Texas said that their MLS is withdraws and holds rather than cancels.
So Dawn is seeing that her MLS has withdrawns and withholds other than canceled off the market. This shows you that there are sellers who want to sell, and there's something going on seasonality why they're pulling off the market. They're like, I don't like that there's not, all of these, all of these bidders. I don't know. If I'm a buyer agent, I might be working with those listing agents who have a withdrawn, and hey, you guys were listed at X. Could I come in and show my buyer if we meet price? These are opportunities to create inventory in your market. The withdrawn is an opportunity for buyer agents to connect with all of those listing agents, and you make 50 calls, you get 4 showings for your buyer of properties that there's no competition on. That's an extreme opportunity that you're presenting to your buyer. This is what the great agents are going to do in this market. Don't rely on the buyer to send you the Zillow screenshot. Rely on your will and your knowledge in the market to go bring them the opportunity. You're going to put more deals together right now. Don't just focus on what's on Z. Focus on what you can control. And I hope everybody has a great Friday. I got to go do this speaking gig here in Austin on Jeremy Knight's event. Elite Jeremy and Ian, elite agents here in Austin. If you're in Austin, hit me up on Twitter at Byron Lazine. Maybe we can connect. I'm here all day. See you guys back here on Monday, 9:30 on the East, 6:30 on the West. Really appreciate the show. We'll continue to do live call-in shows on Fridays. Hopefully I'll see you in the BAMX community. That's where you get the most out of our content. Have a great weekend. Until Monday, toodaloo.